don't worry, I am not here to crush anyone's dreams today. On the contrary, I actually think that this world belongs to dreamers because being slightly and irrationally optimistic is absolutely necessary to stay somewhat sane and resilient in today's world. What is not necessary, however, is for you to be unreasonably delusional. Not only is it not necessary, it is downright harmful. And unfortunately, despite your intentions, it is a form of self-sabotage. Despite still very much feeling the inevitable ups and downs in life, my overall satisfaction has increased tenfold. It is not because my life got easier. I'm actually doing more work and more chores and more not so fun adult things than I've ever done before. So how is that possible? Because expectation management is one of the most important keys to life. It is probably the life lesson that I will be repeating the most till I die. This whole be delusional, delulu is the solulu if you're chronically online. If you're not, congrats. But even this manifestation movement that is very popular online, and don't get me wrong, it is amazing and very helpful in many ways. I was absolutely hooked when I first got introduced to it as well. But after a while, I realized that if you go about delulu is the solulu and manifestation, if you go about it the wrong way, which I definitely have for a long time at first, it will lead you to be even more unhappy and much more self-critical in the long run. Here was my mistake. I was expecting this delulu is the solulu manifestation mindset to get rid of my problems and get rid of the majority of life's hardships, rather than expecting it to help me accept and deal with them properly. So no, do not stop dreaming altogether. No need for that. But as paradoxical as this sounds, the more realistic you are about your delusions, the happier you will be, not only once you achieve your dreams, but also every step along the way, and even after having achieved them. What do I mean by realistic when it comes to being realistic about your delusions? It doesn't sound compatible, right? What I mean is that you need to understand that no matter what your precise goals are, and it can be anything, they are not going to be the thing that will make all of your hardships go away. And they never will be, because there is no such place in life. There is no such thing in life. There's just no point where there is no longer any discomfort, any uncertainty, any loss, or any hardship. I am not saying this to demoralize you in any way. On the contrary, I hope that by the end of this video, you will be more motivated and have a clearer mind. But I say this because from experience, it is so easy to blame your unhappiness on the current situation that you're in, whether that is your studies that you're currently doing, or the city or country that you're living in, or the job that you're doing, etc., etc. It can be anything. And while it might actually be a very good idea for you to change some of these things within your situation, fantasizing about them being the cure to all of your unhappiness will backfire at some point. Why? Because it's kind of like putting a band-aid on a severe wound that needs active healing. What will happen is that you will chase the delusion as a form of escapism. And so you will have poorly and unmanaged expectations regarding this delusion. And so you'll run to this new situation. You'll have a little honeymoon phase where everything feels good. But when the novelty of that delusion wears off, the same discomfort, dissatisfaction, and hardships will return, and you will feel so much worse than before. Because at least before, you could put the blame on your situation. But now you change your situation and you're still dissatisfied. So what do you think you're going to do? You're going to blame yourself. You're going to tell yourself that you're the problem, that you're just a failure, etc., etc. And we don't want that because it's just not true. It's not. What you need is a perspective shift. You got to understand that delulu can be the solulu. I feel so silly saying it out loud. But delulu can be the solulu only when delusions are used to give you a sense of purpose, direction, and resilience, but not when they're used in a escapist way. I'll give you a very simple example. I have a dream to be one day financially free, because freedom to me, and it's very different for everyone, but freedom to me is the most important thing. So ideally, I would have a job where I am my own boss, where I can work where I want, when I want, and the way that I want. I also happen to love writing and creating. So taking all of this into consideration in the era that we're living in, I decided to try and start a YouTube channel, hoping that it will lead me to both fulfillment and financial independence, freedom. Now, that's a beautiful dream, especially when you see successful YouTubers and stuff like that. But despite how fun it seems, it is delusional, and it does require slightly irrational optimism. It is not a stable job. There's no stability whatsoever. It will probably take years to reach a level where I can sustain all of my needs and live comfortably only with that and through that. But the reality is that it might also very well never reach that point. And I accepted that risk because a very, very small percentage of people with YouTube channels make a good living out of it. And an even smaller percentage make a good living out of it while creating content that they actually love, stand by, and content that fulfills them. But you know what? I decided to believe in myself, believe in the dream, and take a leap of faith. Be slightly delulu, if you will. Now, if this was me a couple of years ago, and if I hadn't undergone yet this crucial perspective shift, I would have jumped into this dream delusion, hoping for it to calm all of my woes and rid me of all of my sorrows. I would have expected it to bring me immense joy every step along the way. I would have expected every part of it to be so easy and fun. And most importantly, I would have expected that reaching success, if I ever do, but that reaching success would be my happily ever after. That would have made me crash into a wall pretty damn soon and would have led me to feeling like a failure, hating life, and getting depressed all over again. What I did instead this time, thankfully, is become realistic about my delusion. I understood what this dream would give me and what it wouldn't give me. I understood that this dream would give me, if I succeeded, creative, executive, and financial freedom. I understood that it would not give me an easy life, a completely stress-free life, a completely discomfort-free life. I understood that even in the best case scenario, if I was to succeed, the road to success was going to be a long one, at many times a boring one, non-glamorous, non-exciting, and often challenging one as well. Another huge thing about this delusion of mine is that it is filled with uncertainty and insecurity, doubts, risks. It is a dream where I have to bear so much more responsibility for all of these things alone, rather than if I was working within a structure like a company, an organization, an institution that by nature bears some of that burden for you once you decide to work with them. In my dream, it is no 9 to 5, it's 24/7, and I only get as much reward proportional to all the hours and all the days that I decide to put in. There's also no one to do all the paperwork, whether it's for taxes, healthcare, any type of admin, which we all hate. And that's extra hours of work and organization at home too, in my free time. As you see, the road to your dreams is far from an easy one. And if you don't truly understand and accept that before jumping in, and if you decide to be delulu even about these unsexy, very real realities, then you'll be hurting yourself by staying in a vicious cycle of broken dreams and failures. We always see these success stories and envy these successful people, which I think there's immense value in success stories. I love reading them personally and watching them. But a lot of these people took the biggest risks, and many struggled for ages without seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and had to persist through countless failures and often humiliating rejections. Now, again, this is not to demoralize anyone. If anything, I think the real dreamers should feel more determined and fired up than ever right now. Because if you are passionate about your why, just like I am about freedom and fulfillment, and that can be anything, it doesn't have to be that for you, it can be anything again. Then if you are passionate about your why, then your delusion will be the solution, because it will give you the resilience that you need. To paraphrase the very famous quote from the philosopher Nietzsche, he who has a why can bear absolutely any how. Just a note, by the way, this delusion and dream of yours doesn't have to be career or money related at all. It could just be a passion project of yours. It could be a skill that you want to pursue and you've been wanting to pursue for a while. It could be a cause that you want to participate in and help advance. It can be a family that you want to create, relationships, travels. It could really be anything. Just be realistic about what it actually entails and what it actually can and will give you and won't, and then go for it. I know all of this is not necessarily sexy, but mindset is everything. And with the right mindset, you will be unstoppable despite any ups and downs along the way. That is all for today. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. I hope you have a lovely day or a lovely evening, and you got this.